Today we're going to gap our rings to get them ready to put on our pistons. Put our trusty cover away for a little bit. We are going to have to go get a piston out of the box. But yeah, right now we got the crank all installed. It's all good to go. Spins nice and free. Tolerances are right spot on. This is not oversized at all, which is really nice, and they're almost stock, especially here because that's where they redid them. But my ends are really, really good too, so definitely good to go. I probably should have sized my rings. I was going to size them earlier, but because I had to send it back to the machine shop to have it line boarded and honed, I was kind of stuck in a place that I couldn't do anything. So today I'm going to do nothing but the rings and get those done. That way by next week, hopefully I'll be putting the pistons together and pistons and rods together and getting those put in. Got some really neat stuff from Amazon that's really cheap but saves you a ton of money. I know the world likes the spring compressors that you squish down, but no, matter of fact, I got this from Summit Racing, 4.030, so it takes care of my 4-inch bore and my 30-inch over bore. It's tapered in, so all you got to do is put the piston with the rings in it, set it above your cylinder, and send it on down without the whole ratcheting thing. Yeah, you can only use it on one size piston, but I mean, how often are you going to rebuild an engine? If you do it a lot, yeah, I can understand having a few of these, but I'm not, so I'm good with what I have. So give me a couple minutes to get everything set up on my video, and we'll get you going and show you how we're going to gap these rings. Excuse me. One of the things I want to emphasize on this build and this entire car is I'm using cheap stuff. I'm buying what I can based on my budget and my ability. I have a family to take care of, a mortgage to pay. Like a lot of you guys out there, we don't have the kind of money that the pros do to go out and buy, $10,000 worth of parts and think nothing of it. We have to do these things in steps. To kind of give you an idea of the steps, I've had this car for over 25 years now. I have gone in it, I have done the heads, I went in and I cleaned them up. When I put the intake on it, I also changed the timing set because I'm an old school guy and I know that there was nylon in there, so that had to go. I'm not a chain guy. I like my gear drives. This particular engine will also have a gear drive on it. There's your gear drive right there. If you're going to have accurate timing, this is the way to do it. It makes noise? Yeah. I like the noise. It's that blower whine. I like that a lot. So we have to keep that in mind too. All the parts that I've had for this motor, for example, the crankshaft I bought 25 years ago, I was going to put it in when I was doing the rest of the engine, but I got job transferred. So I had to slap the motor back together again, move to the next town. The next town I pulled the heads off. I was going to blew a head gasket. I was going to go ahead and I didn't blow a head gasket. It blew was blowing fluid through one of the nuts, mainly because I forgot to seal it. But anyway, so once again, I'm at a place. I pull the heads off. These are already done. Mind you, I spent hours rebuilding these things. I set them in. I figured, you know what, they're up. I'm gonna refresh them, get new seals put on them, and have them decked a little bit. So I did. And my heads got stolen from the shop. Of course, there was no police report. There was nothing else. So there goes my first set of 202 heads right out the window. In exchange, they gave me these 194s that are on it now. They're junk. They leaked through the valve seals the day I put them on, even though they had brand new valve seals. So we live and we learn, we move along. Things happen. The car itself, I'm doing all the body work, I'm doing all the metal work, I'm doing all the paint work, thanks to, in part, Duplicolor, who's provided me all my painting materials for free because of the program I was on with them. I'm able to paint my car and afford it, because you and I both know doing it yourself, it's going to cost you a lot of money. I've been painting the car, and what's been painted so far was painted in the garage. I would love to rent a booth. I found a booth for $100 for 3 days, mainly because the guy has a shop and he works in it all by himself, and he just needs the cash. So $100 for 3 days of paint booth is worth the money. I still have to finish the. Okay, in this video, I'm going to be gapping my rings. When you do have an engine machined, they are going to ask you for your pistons and have you bring them in, because they're going to match your pistons to your cylinders. Really nice way of making sure that it's a good fit and that everything works well. Summit Racing, I ordered the piston end rings that came with it as a kit, and that way I could make sure that everything coincided with everything else. Every piston is exactly the same, so it makes it real easy to do your ring gapping and all that fun stuff. You know that they're all perfectly the same. Pistons all measure out exactly the same. Pistons come in these nice packages. You got your oil ring, all that good stuff all in one area. You've got your directions on how to do everything from Summit. Pretty good instructions. It's kind of interesting, but it shows you how you should have them installed, all that kind of fun stuff. So take the time to go ahead and read those, and that way you're ready to go. Do have one of the pistons, because when you do your rings, you're going to grab, make sure that's an oil ring. I don't want that one. There we go. 1, 2, oil. Okay, so when we open them up, if I can open them up, geez. Let me grab my scissors real quick out of my toolbox and snip it open. Go lay down, baby. Dogs are in here with me. They're my constant companions. These are going to be your oil rings. See how thin they are. Those go with your oil rings. And you can feel the springy things in there too, so those two go together. And back in the box, and grab your next set of rings, be it top or middle. Doesn't really matter, you're going to gap them all anyway. There's my rings, all pretty Molly rings. It's a pretty easy process. I'm going to show you the basics real quick, pause here for a minute, and then I'm going to set up my ring gapper. Went to Harbor Freight for $3.99, got me a feeler gauge. I have spark plug gappers in there, but I don't have any feeler gauges, and the spark plug gapper doesn't work really good for gapping your rings. I am going to double check the measurement, but because this is going to be a forced induction motor, for non-forced induction, you set them to 24, the gap. For forced induction, it's 28. So we're definitely going to have to do a little bit of work on them, that's for sure. So you'll just put your ring in, and yeah, they don't play well either. They're very, very tight. And you have a little gap in there. Find the gap that you're using. First, center it. Use your piston and go down a little bit with it so that they're nice and centered in there. You don't want to gap your piston rings with them crooked at any way. So you definitely want to push them a little ways in there and then check your gap. Being very careful not to drop your really nice aluminum piston. These are going to be 28. 3, 5, 15, they go the opposite direction. Brand new, so they're covered in oil. 24, 25, 26, 28. There's 28 right there. Take your time when doing this, when you're filing them. You can always take a little bit more off, but you can't put any more back on. And that cost me a set of rings. put it in here, and these are so tight, there it won't even go in there. There's probably 3 thousandths maybe clearance in there. They're tight. So definitely we're gonna have to take a little bit off so that at least we can get the gapper in there. But they're 028 770 millimeter, I think, 0.70 millimeter. But that kind of shows you. So we'll go ahead and get everything set up. Excuse me. Get everything set up and show you how to grind these rings. So we'll pause you for now and be back in a minute.